OK, let's focus on matters off the pitch. For Manchester United, as you can see, our chief reporter Kaveh Solhekol is here on set alongside me. Kaveh, we know that Sheikh Jassim and also Sir Jim Ratcliffe made indicative offers to buy Manchester United before the soft deadline, which was last Friday. And you're going to take us through what might happen in each of the main scenarios here in 4 different areas. And the areas are debt, on the pitch, infrastructure and potential fan reactions. So let's start off then with the Qataris, and if they buy the club, what will happen to the debt?
Well, the debt will be wiped out. The net debt that has been loaded onto the club by the Glazers ever since they bought the club 18 years ago. The debt at the moment is around £515 million. If the Qataris come in, they are so rich that they will be able to wipe that out. Also, when it comes to buying the club, they can afford just to pay for the club, so they won't need any financing going forward. So if you're a United fan and all you care about is having an owner who can afford to buy and run the club, then the Qataris would be the right owners for you, if that's all you care about.
OK, what about Erik ten Hag then? What would his future look like, and what would be the transfer policy under Qatari ownership?
Well, look, I think as far as the Qataris are concerned, I can't speak for them, but my sense is that there would be no reason to change managers. Sheikh Jassim is a Manchester United supporter, we've been told. If he really is a United supporter, then he'll be impressed with the job that Ten Hag is doing. As far as transfers are concerned, I think, obviously, the Qataris have a lot of money. They would be able to make a big splash in the transfer market immediately this summer. But, again, we're being told that they would not go crazy. The focus would be on youth development rather than just going out and buying players like Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, those kind of players. But, look, he's apparently a United fan, so he knows they need to sign another forward.
What about redeveloping the stadium infrastructure? Has anything been promised in that regard?
Really simple there. The Qatari bid have said if they get to own United, they know that Old Trafford needs to be redeveloped. The Carrington training ground needs updating, and also local regeneration around Old Trafford as well. So they are saying that all that will be done if Sheikh Jassim buys United.
OK, that might seem an obvious question, but what are the criticisms of their potential takeover, and how would fans feel about it?
A lot of people will be uneasy. They'll be asking the question, is this really Sheikh Jassim's bid, or is this Qatar buying Manchester United? And if it's Qatar buying Manchester United, of course, there are going to be big questions asked about human rights in Qatar, the fact that homosexuality is criminalised in Qatar. And also people will be asking the question, is Manchester United really separately owned from PSG? Because it would be really complicated if effectively the 2 clubs had the same owners. So there will be a lot of questions for the Qataris and Sheikh Jassim to answer if they buy United. OK, right, so that's the Qatari ownership, sort of, if you like, what that might look like. But what about if Jim Ratcliffe were to take over Manchester United? Let's go through the same process again. Look, I think as far as the debt is concerned, obviously Sir Jim Ratcliffe is not as rich as the Qataris. His takeover would be part financed by debt. But what we're being told is that that debt would not go on United's balance sheet. He and his company Ineos would be responsible for that debt. As far as Erik ten Hag is concerned, I don't have any inside information, but I do know that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a genuine United fan. And he, of course, like any United fan, will be thrilled with the job that Erik ten Hag is doing. So I would be very surprised if he buys the club, if he was to make any moves to remove or replace Erik ten Hag. When it comes to the transfer market, I don't think he's got quite the financial firepower that Sheikh Jassim has. But if you look at what he's done at Nice, I think over the past 3 seasons, net spend of €100 million, which in terms of French football is quite significant. So he would back Erik ten Hag. The stadium, the training ground, again, he said he's committed to redeveloping those, and he's got experience of doing that at Ineos. And when it comes to protests and criticisms, I think some people will say, if the Qatari bid is accused of being sports washing, is this greenwashing? Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe getting involved in sport in a way to improve their corporate image, surrounding the fact that, of course, Ineos is accused of making a lot of its money in polluting industries. There have also been criticism about the fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe moved to Monaco, where he doesn't have to pay as much tax as he has to pay in the UK. And I think, again, there would be questions to answer about the ownership structure, because he already owns Nice. So what would happen if Nice and Manchester United, for instance, had to play both in the Champions League or both in the Europa League?
OK, so those are the two potential takeovers, but there is another scenario, which is that the Glazers might end up staying at Old Trafford. So what would happen then in all of these areas?
Yeah, I mean, don't discount that at all, because the Glazers have never come out and said, we definitely want to sell Manchester United. Now, the scenario in which they could stay, I mean, easily, they could just say, you know what, we've had a look at these offers, the club is not for sale. They've also got proposals of hedge funds wanting to take a minority stake in United, or investors wanting to lend money to the Glazers to redevelop Old Trafford. So that is something they could do. And if they stayed, of course, I think they would carry on backing Erik ten Hag. They would give him some money to spend in the transfer market to sign, especially a striker. When it comes to protests, of course, I think there would be a lot of protests. I think there was a survey done in The Athletic a few days ago that said only 1.8% of United fans wanted the Glazers to stay. Obviously, throughout the 18 years they've been there, there have been a lot of protests. There were protests before they even bought the club. So I'm pretty sure that if they were to decide not to sell Manchester United, there would be a negative reaction from quite a lot of United supporters.
Yeah, I mean, these scenes, we've seen them before. I dare say if they decided to stay on, we may see the likes of them again. Kaveh, for the moment, thank you very much indeed. Excellent run through all the potential scenarios there.